welcome to the Great Transition. Welcome to another session on where we are and where we're headed in the 21st century, and how nature is pushing us to a way better future. But we
Are you
gotta
sure
we gotta
about that?
go through we gotta go through some transition in order to get there. That's what's
Good to see
happening.
you, man. Hi,
You too.
everybody.
Hello, everyone.
How you doing?
Hello.
How's the fam? How's the baby? How's the other two?
It's
How's Allie?
yeah. Did I
Had a
tell you
small war
everyone?
over there last week or something?
There's
Not in the house. I mean, just in the country.
okay. It's hard to keep up with what's happening, but yeah. Did I tell you everyone was a little sick here? Yeah,
You told me,
yeah.
well,
So
before the last show, you told me that it's
before the
not
last show,
COVID, but you think that you're the last one in the
yeah.
family to get it, and your energy was a
Anyway,
little
so
low. And
I'm much better now, almost out of it, and yeah, I think we're good. I think we'll be good. So
okay, good.
we're the world is sick though. The world is
Yeah, I was
definitely
in the
sick.
I was working in New York yesterday, and I was so freaked out because it was like back to business. Everyone's like
Mm.
honking. Like I was on the phone with you. You heard. I was like in gridlock,
Ah,
and
with the
everyone's like,
gridlock, yeah.
yeah. Everyone's honking and running around, and the only difference is that everyone had masks on, and I felt. I know everything is for a purpose, but it was a little nerve wracking. I thought like um, it's reminding me of like what happened during 9/11, but we could talk about that when our special guest comes on. But all of a sudden,
What
like,
was nerve-wracking?
um, it's like when the politicians or whatever, they're like, okay, everyone just go shopping like after 9/11. They're like, okay, like go to a show, go shopping. Like, wait a minute. I thought this was like a moment where we're supposed to reflect on
Uh,
like like yesterday it was like, aren't we in the middle of a global pandemic? Like, are we just put a mask on and just live like that forever now? That's just the new normal. We just be who we were yesterday, but we just do it
mm.
like
Well,
masks on.
human beings are so adaptable. We're malleable very much on the one hand, but and there's two sides to it. On the one hand, we can be engineered, by society, by socialization, by norms and concepts of society without even noticing. Uh, and then on the other hand, that I mean, in for better and for worse, we can also adapt ourselves and become something that we are originally not. So it's a double-edged sword, but definitely one of the features of that is that we get used to everything. Human beings,
So
you get used to it.
that's
Yeah.
what we're doing here. We're everybody, welcome to the Great Transition Show. That's what we're doing here. The difference between what we call like the path of light or the path of pain, because in the next 6 months, what happens, this light shines, starts illuminating for us. We start seeing the system. We start seeing this transition that humanity is going through, and we have the opportunity then to start making these good connections between us, start moving together with nature. And if we don't do that, then we see all kind of things on the outside, nature pushing like, well, where is God's mercy? God's mercy, if you jump off a building, where's gravity's mercy? We're talking
Mm-hmm.
about
Yeah.
laws. So there's the laws that are developing us towards this good connected life, and we'll be forced to make changes
Yeah.
over the next few months.
Yeah.
If
Evolution is merciless, basically.
yeah,
But hey,
the
evolution tends to always create something better, more complex, more advanced, more intelligence than before. So if we're going forward, we can't stop. We can't like pause. We can't go against the current. But if we understand where we're going, then if we trust that nature is everywhere and it's moving humanity forward, then the future is going to be more than what we had. but maybe not more in the sense that we're used to think about it.
There I saw something that there's like 4 million or 3.5 million less kids being born in the United States. I
Mm.
imagine that the birth rate is going down in most civilized uh, countries.
You mean in general, or
In
you mean
general, the
or
birth
just
rate.
COVID? No, for the last
No,
decade
probably,
or last.
actually, probably from COVID, we'll see the COVID bump, because everyone
Right.
was just like stuck at home. So probably 9 months after COVID, we'll see a bunch of babies, but that's probably just because of circumstance. But I think
Mm.
in general, people look at life like that. I would kind of put that in parentheses and put the COVID bump off to the side, but just the greater trend being what am I even living for?
What
I
am
don't
I
expect
living
been
for?
for did
Did
I
I
Ezra
ask
all
for all
this
this
fame?
pain?
Um, uh,
Okay, so we got a Brightman song
okay.
for you at the
Um,
end. Can you find it for the end of the show?
I'll find it for the end of the show after we bring our guest on and he starts giving it to us, and I'll look for that song.
Okay.
Um, what do I need children for? What is it? It's probably better. It's better for me to just disconnect from all of this. Like the millennials, it's like basically give me a pizza and give me my phone, and I don't
Mm.
really even need anything else. Like all these luxury industries, luxury hotels, luxury boats, all this kind of stuff is and not only that, like um well, I have this whole thing I want to talk about around women. Um, Being in New York also, it's so weird. Like it's so much about the visual, and men are visual creatures. Like you could be madly in love with someone, and you
Mm-hmm.
see a beautiful woman walk by, you look, it's just men are visual. It's not, doesn't mean he's not faithful, it doesn't mean anything. It's just that's how a man is kind of built. But this thing that women are so much like society and the marketplace just took them away from the family and like put them out there to be like as ruthless as men, put them out there to be as um
Well,
all the
Seth,
bad.
you're a
Yeah,
sexist. I think you're a
yes, I've been called a
sexist.
sexist many times, but
There you go.
that's not, no, I think that women are the
No, no,
best.
I'm obviously just, I'm voicing the inner voice of some women who may be hearing you now and don't necessarily get where you're coming from. So,
Yeah, I
mhm.
misunderstood quite a lot of the time. So I'm trying to get better. I'm not trying to be sexist. In fact, um, I think that probably we could, there's got to be some study somewhere that like wars have been fought to impress women, like wealth, treasures have been accumulated just to impress women. People went out to fight dragons to impress women. I think women, pretty much everything a man does is to like, so his wife or his woman is like, you're a good boy, good job, you
Right.
know.
Well, and
Uh,
psychologists will tell you as well I think Freud will support it as well, that everything we do, as men, is driven to some extent by your drive to impress the female.
yeah,
Just like you
okay, so
see.
that's, so
Yeah,
there's science on it, so that
yeah, and
yeah,
that's
so
that's what propels you to create and produce and and conquer and do and work and whatever, and be more, do more. Otherwise we'd
so
just be like just relaxing.
right, if we didn't have a woman to impress, we would just sit at home
Yeah,
and do nothing.
basically. Which
So
is,
yeah,
it
I'm
doesn't it
not,
doesn't sound that bad though. You gotta say.
but there would be no more people if so. Yeah, how do I say it without being sexist? I guess I just need some time. People just give me some time. Just spend a little time with me. Don't judge me on just one sentence. Um,
Where did you come? How
where
did
did that?
you?
Oh, because
Why
being in New
why did
York,
we?
being because being in New York, it's like, New York used to be um the last maybe 2 decades. I don't know how long you could say, but since I guess the Republicans have been the mayors and stuff. Like everything in New York became very clean. Everything in New York became very expensive. Everything in New York became very like high end. And
Yeah.
simultaneously, like we lost all the artists. There's almost like nowhere to go for live music anymore. You can't almost do anything. I mean, it's changed now. It's completely different. There's like homeless everywhere, and a lot of art being created. But during this process of development of making the city so great and everything becoming so expensive and so high end, like every person there became like it, I don't ruthless is not the word I'm looking for, but like the women and the men, it was like everyone like push them into the boardroom, push them into the marketplace, push them in, and the women were hunting for men the same way that men were hunting for women. It was like everything, it's like this picture, they're like that one with the that you have that in Israel as well, the lip thing that
What duck?
happens
The
and
duck face. It's called duck
the
face.
duck face, yeah,
Duck
duck
face. Sure.
face, yeah.
Sure.
Um,
It's
and what
a
happens?
it's a
So
21st century common
is it
what do you call
universal? Is duck face universal?
it?
Um, um, what happens to a child who doesn't have um, a mom, someone to take care of him when he's put into some child care, from the time he's little, and he doesn't have anyone to nurture him, and then he grows up, and he becomes an adult. How does he know how to be a sensitive person, a compassionate person, a warm person, a person who ever felt love in his life? How does he know what kind of relationship to look for? How does he know how to treat a woman? How does he know how to treat a woman? How is he supposed to know how to treat a woman? Um, yeah. So actually, I didn't mean to turn this whole thing into a woman thing.
Well, you
I was
just
talking
did,
about men.
Seth. You
Yeah,
just
I didn't
did.
mean.
If you look at the comments,
Oh
everyone is
no. Oh
now
no.
trying to figure out whether is Seth is
Oh
sexist.
boy.
Do I
Really?
subscribe to what he's saying? Yes or no? Or no? I'm kidding. But our audience is highly advanced in their perception of the
Hold on. I
world
see something that says
and and life.
not only Seth is a sexist. Everyone. Okay, I can't read it and concentrate on you, but okay. So,
I see. No,
Denise,
there's a
what's going on over there? Let me know
there
if I.
there are a bunch of interesting comments from what I see. Also, Kiko from Egypt uh, wrote something interesting. Obviously, it has. Look. I would say this. What's happening today in the world is the great transition. Humanity is evolving. The the relationship between the sexes is a huge part. It's everything has to do with it. This is the crux of evolution. Male and female throughout nature, on all levels of nature, the correct configuration, combination, and merging between male and female on every level, protons, electrodes, heat and cold, plus and minus, and so on. That is what creates life. That creates the next degree of evolution. That is what creates a more advanced being, the connection between male and female. So clearly, the 21st century exemplifies a certain kind of chaotic, confusing, vague, weird, strange um, relationship that's happening right now between the sexes because we're in the midst of an evolutionary leap, of an evolutionary jump. We're
Chris
gonna,
Fisher on Facebook. He goes,
yeah,
"Nature, the laws of nature aren't sexist. We have a media culture that confuses everything."
yeah, but it depends where do you want, what do you want to attack this
Oh
from?
no, I thought I
There,
was helping you with your point. Sorry, I just
no,
ruined
no,
it.
it's just it's another perspective. I mean, what I'm trying to say is this: there is a natural evolutionary process, and as part of evolution, male and female have to constantly find a new level of relationship between them. Does that make sense? You
It
have
makes sense.
you have minus and plus throughout nature that are constantly, finding new connections between them, creating a new level of life. So, what's happening right now in the 21st century is that we don't exactly know what's happening between the sexes. There is It's a very different world than what we
Now
had a
we know,
hundred.
all right. Everyone's miserable.
It's a very different world from what we had 50 years ago, 100 years ago,
Also
from
not so great,
in
but there
terms
was some
of,
kind of it was
yeah, but I'm saying in terms of men and women, the men and women, and the difference between the difference and role of and function of and relationship between men and women was a completely different reality just 100 years ago.
mhm.
It's a completely different dynamic right now.
So
Now,
it actually it's good that it turned into this because what you had back then when a woman didn't really even have a say. Actually, I'm only talking about America. I'm not talking about like all time and relations between men and women. I don't know enough about it, but with nature, you had to there had to be this thing where women's voices became heard, where women became recognized as important. But then there has to be this kind of settling back into something more natural because what we have now is completely not natural. It's not sustainable. It's making everybody feel anxious, everybody feel crazy, everybody feel um, like th- they can never feel home. There's no feeling of home anymore. Like it's just that there's like this safe place. Uh, what?
I
Give me a
no,
hug, Asaf.
no. No, we went into a territory that needs to be that
Yeah,
needs to
that's why this
be
podcast, this show, whatever the heck this thing is, needs to be longer. It needs to be 2 hours, and I'm going to keep telling you that until we get there.
Yeah, but
We have a
okay, what
guest. We
what
have
do
a
you want to do?
guest
You
who's
want to evade the topic and segue to something else,
yeah.
and
We'll
or
we'll dedicate 2 hours to it some other time, I guess, or 5 hours or something. But
okay.
this yeah, this needs we need time for this, man. We need to talk about this. There's a lot here. Um,
No, because I
what?
think that okay, let's just do this just for the audience who is interested in the topic.
Okay.
Let's just
Are they
say
interested?
this.
I haven't been paying attention all the to the
We
comments. I'm
I think they are, as far as I can see, and I would just say what's happening in the world in the 21st century between men and women is something that needs to be talked about. We've definitely lost balance with where we're supposed to be in terms of nature. On the other hand, there is a certain kind of development that needs to happen, has to happen. And women, of course, need to be, need to acquire their role in the natural system and in influencing the world, which they didn't have before. Just like men also need to find their correct role of how to participate in this process that we're all going through. But I think let's also invite a woman to one of our next
good
episodes
idea
and continue
to
this
talk about
discussion
women.
from there and talk about men and women. Talk about where the war of the sexes or the balance between the sexes or whatever you want to call it of the 21st century. We'll do that. We'll commit to
Okay,
inviting
get it on the schedule.
yeah, okay.
Um, okay, so I don't know. Do you see? Okay, so our next guest, everybody, is an amazing friend of ours. He's also a KabU instructor. He's an Israeli guy who's been living in New York for 20 years, and he's about to go back to, going to be leaving the U.S. Do you see him in the waiting room there? Oh, I don't hear you.
Sorry, did you send him like the
I did. I
secret
sent him the link.
code access facial recognition AI technology that puts the
No, I didn't
person?
do any of that. But
So
speaking of AI,
did you
did you see the
this?
article that came out today that was written by AI?
Oh, I didn't read it.
Don't go there yet. I
I
was just wondering
wanted
if you
to,
saw it.
I wanted to, but no, I think it's really interesting.
Okay, I think he's joining.
You were just stalling and like
Yeah,
or
that's
you
all I was
wanted
doing.
okay. So so yeah, so no one cares about that AI article. And here is Lio Spiegler. He is
Okay.
connected with us in three, two,
Ah, at least he has
yeah.
a shirt on. What's up, Leo? I was concerned you were going to show up without a shirt.
No, I went and bought a shirt just as you had requested.
Thank you.
Wait,
So,
you still have a
are you in traffic?
car? You still have a car?
Yeah, I went to say goodbye to New York, because I'm leaving. So but most of the places are closed. So
Are you driving or are you parked? Are you with us now, like 100% or what?
100%. What do you mean?
Okay, we have your
What
attention.
else is there to see?
I'm very territorial. I want to make sure that you're not paying attention to anyone else.
But he's not
Okay, so
sexist.
I'm not sexist. It looks like from the architecture and what I saw, it looks like you're downtown. You're probably in Soho. You're
Yeah,
in
nice.
yeah, I can tell by the building a little bit. Nice.
Good. Yeah, I can give you a tour after all the shuttered places.
Unbelievable, I know.
Balthazar is closed. Dean and DeLuca is closed. Can you believe it?
So listen, you came here in when did you come? Right after 9/11?
I came on a boat in 1999. I came in the winter of 2000.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So what was the New York that you came to? And what were you looking for?
It was still riding on the wave of the 90s. A lot of go get 'em attitude. Uh, places started to get cleaned up, but not all of the like. If you go down I had a friend in Rivington, right below Houston. You go down, you'd still see people getting, warmed up around a burning barrel, street corners. You'd have that still happening, but the city was on an upward moving trend, upward as far as just quality of life, right? So that was that, and then I moved to Williamsburg, which nobody knew of back then. It was a place you go only to get rid of bodies if you're in the mob. So I went there, and maybe
Subsequently turned into the hippest, coolest neighborhood in New York.
yeah, exactly. I don't take any credit for that, but we were there back when going from the subway station home. Those 8 minutes you had to sometimes duck because you would hear bullets flying. So it was a really different city, but you could feel the energy. The energy was there was like a very powerful vortex happening. It was like pulling in artists and musicians. It was like definitely like an awakening. It wasn't the 70s. It wasn't that those places were already kind of going down, getting gentrified. But the hipstery vibe was kind of pulling people from all over, from Kansas, from Utah, from Philadelphia. People were just flocking to the city to kind of find their future. Lots of artists. I had a ton of friends who were musicians, painters, sculptors. It was like a bubbling. You know how like you open a bottle of soda, you pour it. It's like really nice, and then after a few days in the fridge, you open it up. It's not as
So before we talk about
Wait, so
these 20 years,
today is a few days in the fridge. That's what you're saying?
yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to
Today
say
there's not even in the fridge. It's only like out on the counter. It's on the way to getting.
what is the New York that you're leaving now 20 years later?
So that's a very different New York. First of all, even before COVID, I would barely see any clients face to face. For example, if we're talking about work, but I would, I loved coming to the city just to kind of get washed by this energy, the people, I love the masses of people. For me, it's like listening to the ocean. You hear the people walking up and down and chatting, and you meet people in coffee shops and on standing online somewhere. There was like a lot of good positive energy, like the feeling that you could that's you hear all the time, the feeling that you could, if you have a good idea, you could find people to get it off the ground. It was very easy. Also, it was very convenient for the donkey. Can we call it donkey? The animal to get along. Whatever you want, it's just you do that and it's there. I want a snack. I want this snack. I want this particular kind of drink. I want to buy this shirt and not that shirt, and it's got to be single origin, organic, free trade. Whatever you can get, whatever the little fantasy you had of life, of the good life, you could get it here. That was the feeling that you had, and now it's a very different feeling. The streets feel like a Sunday on like an August Sunday is the feeling of a weekday, and I'm in Soho, right?
An
It feels
August
like
Sunday, for those who don't know, in New York, that's when everyone in New York is a second home out at the beach or wherever they are. They're gone. So it's
yeah,
like the
yeah, they're
city's
gone.
empty.
That's the feeling. Plus, you add on top of that the boarded up places like off half of Fifth Avenue, places here. So that gives the feeling of, oh, we're not just gone for a couple of days. Like we're not coming back. Someone just bought the Chrysler building for a few $1 million. They're going to turn it into a condos. The Empire State Building is only 10% capacity. I mean, 10%, only 10% of people are there. Most CEOs have not returned to their offices here in the city. It feels, and this is just on the kind of like on the surface. I'm not even talking about the effects of the social unrest. Like if I drive to where City Hall is, you have a lot of unrest there. Upper West Side is really suffering. Upper West Side was the sweetest like neighborhood. If you think of Woody Allen movies and Seinfeld and all that, it's like a scary place. Moms are afraid to go out with their kids in strollers. People drinking on the street. It really is a different city. People like to say, well, another 2 months like that, it's going to be pre-Giuliani. And now I think they don't even have what to compare it to. It's not even pre-Giuliani. It's just like it's a totally different dystopic version of the city. That's what it is. I didn't want to bum anyone out, but it's kind of that. I mean,
if we see all this always this is where art comes. This is when there's a revolution of art. Before Jimi Hendrix and before all of the great artists of the 60s, there was like this 1950s father knows best. Dad goes out to work in the morning, mom stays home, and then from that everyone there was a cultural change. So what we'll see.
Yeah, but it was driven by different forces. I think that's what's different now. Every big change, just in the last 100 years, it was always driven by, you can call it a positive because it was positive, egoistic, positive for that engine of development. So it was a bump along the way. It was kind of, you go under because you're going to come up higher. So you had the after the depression, everything was moving, bigger and stronger. After the war, everybody was coming back and there was this renewed energy. After those very conservative 50s, you start to get the 60s. Then you had the love river, the summer of love, and then you had all the yuppies coming out of that and becoming heads of industry where we are today. Like it was always moving, bigger, higher, faster, right? That kind of train. That was a train. Now it doesn't feel like that. It's not. When I came in and I was in Williamsburg in 2000, and I was living on a dime, and nobody had money, but you felt like you were surrounded by a lot of forces, financial forces, forces of entrepreneurial ideas, just the trends. Like the wheels were moving. That all you had to do is just kind of stay on the train. Go do your thing. Go perform in a bar. You're gonna find the way to record that album. You're gonna find someone who's gonna get you on a tour. You're gonna be able to start that line of clothing. Whatever, you know what I mean? It's like it was in the air. The machine was moving, and all you had to do is just kind of hang on it. And even if you had nothing and you knew no one, you could eventually advance. Now it's a different vibe. It's not like, oh, we're starting a new thing. Now it's, what are we starting? What are we what are we even aiming for?
We
What is
talked
the
about we were talking about the decrease in population earlier in the show. Like there used to it sounds like the same thing. There used to be this feeling, from 1900 there was 2 billion on the planet. Today there's like 8 billion almost. There was this like, we're developing, we're moving forward. And today it's like, well, I'm not so sure about what's going to happen next. And I'm not so, most of the politicians in Europe, I think, don't have kids. So like what kind of world are they planning
well,
for? Are they
Europe was on the negative decline before, like Japan. There you have quite a few developed countries that figured out that too many kids is they can't handle it. They don't really know what to do with it.
But
It
I'm talking
wasn't the
about
rest.
more of I'm talking about an inner feeling. Like I don't have this need to grow, to perpetuate something. I'm living for myself. I don't know what's going to be tomorrow. I'm not planning out that I'm going to be having kids and then they're going to go to school and then, I'm going to be a grandpa one day. It's like that natural bump thing you were talking about, the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. It's like this whole process is like getting an upgrade. It's not the same
Exactly.
trend.
No, exactly. It's not another turn of that wheel. It's like we're moving to another wheel. And it fits also with the fourth turning thing, which we were talking about. I don't know if you guys brought it up here on this program, but
The what?
the fourth turning. You remember we talked about it a little bit. It
We
was
were saving anything that was even slightly conspiracy theory related. I know it's
no, no,
not.
no, no, no. I'm talking about it from look. I work in advertising and marketing communications, and this is a guy
We're going to
company.
save all that for a different episode. But go ahead, give us a.
I'll just say maybe just in a nutshell because it fits kind of the message that you guys are discussing, and that is we are working with cycles, right? They're the different cycles, but just like when every cycle, every cogwheel is connected to other cogwheels. So the little cogwheel has to go 100 times before the medium size is going to go one click, right? And then the medium
Right.
size has to go 10 times before the big one really goes one click. So we're somewhere there, right? We're not like on the little one going 100 times, and maybe even not already the medium one going. I think it's already the medium one has done 10 clicks, and now the big one is doing a big click. So it's like a whole other,
So
and
so you
you
feel
see
you
the
feel
you
it
see the nature, you see the,
you feel it on your flesh that, like, I don't know if it's correct to say it like that, but like the decline of New York, the transformation of New York City is indicative of like a much bigger, broader, even cosmic change that is now happening. Is this something that you're feeling as someone who, went there like about 20 years ago and now, finished closing this circle, finishing this era?
yeah, I think like they said, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. I think the same saying can be applied to if New York is changing, then it means everywhere is changing.
Right.
It's like if New York, which was the on the front lines of uh, you know business and entrepreneurship, maybe not technology, that was maybe the West Coast, but nevertheless it was like art and business and commerce and ideas. It's like the one of the biggest hubs for those things in the world. If that is changing, then it will, just by it changing, it will have profound effects over everything else, coupled with the fact that if it is changing, it's probably indicative of other places changing as well. That's
Were you
I think
planning
that's
on living out the rest of your life in New York, or most of it?
originally when I came here.
Yeah.
Uh, I wasn't planning that far ahead. You know me, Seth. I think when I came here, I thought that I could, this could be a bigger, better, faster version of Tel Aviv, where I came from. So I looked at it as such, and most people, when they're 20s, they don't really think of, oh, I'm going to retire here. Like, no, you come here
Yeah.
to, no, I hope I'm going to die here, trying to make the most out of it. That's kind of like the feeling. So I was more in that second category. I was just trying to make the most out of being here. I think right when my son was born, that's when you start to grow up, right? But that's when you start to say, all right, it's not all about me. What about him? Where is he going to grow up? What environment will he have? Should he know his grandparents and cousins and other? So once he was in the picture, we did start asking those questions, and I think it started to become clear that New York might not be the best place for him. Might not be the best place. Uh, Even America, I dare say, might not be the best place for him. And I'm not saying that Israel is the best place in the world, God forbid. And I'm not saying America is the worst place in the world, God forbid. There's good and bad in both places. But I really felt like it was not not offering him what he will need to become a kind of human that I hope he needs to be.
Okay. Seth lost lost
No, I'm just thinking
that
about
is
it.
space and
I'm thinking
no,
about
me
what it
too.
takes to build
Uh,
the kind of human that we need. We really need an environment to put that little person in. You need a home, and then at some point the kid leaves the home, and he meets other friends. And if these are going to be the people who are going to, make it's ridiculous when people are like, oh, George Carlin, the comedian, he does a great skit on this. He's like, stop complaining about the politicians. They grew up in American homes, in American families, went to American schools, you know lived American lives, and that's what you get. So, like, stop complaining about that, like, change something along the way. um, and this, I'm not against America. This is not like against America. I'm just saying in general, we have a society that pushes everybody to compete. Like, when you go to school, you're not allowed to share your answers with anybody. When you go out, like, everything is a competition. Like, you're not even allowed to listen to the other side's opinions. Like, I have to be against you. It's like, you can't sit at the table, or Democrat and the Republican can't speak to each other. It's like, no, no, we don't even speak to each other. It's now I heard today that an Oscar, like the award you get for like the best movie, you have to have, I don't know, I'm exaggerating, but you have to have like this many black people, this many white people, this many women, like you
Oh, yeah, they added the diversity category. Yep, yep, yep.
um so this is an incredible country, because for the first time you can be from anywhere, and you can do, you can be black and you can be a president. You can be, actually, Israel had a female president, but or prime minister, whatever you call it. But no, you have here, it's incredible. You can come from India and make $1 billion. You can come from China. It's anyone. It's open to anyone. But what we lost is, in that mess, is what did we lose? I'm lost in my own thoughts actually right now.
Did we lose? I don't think we lost it. I had a talk with a friend the other day. I wrote these two posts on Facebook. Those, the posts I'm talking about. I wrote one which was very dark. Let's say it was all kind of pointing out all the negatives, and then I wrote the opposite of that post. The same exact structure, same exact terms, but I wrote about all the light parts, right? All the good parts. And it's true. It's like you can look at the picture from these two perspectives, and I think it's important to talk about both. You can't just be like, oh, it's all great, it's the greatest country in the world, without acknowledging what's not working. But anyway, when I wrote the first post, the negative one, I got a friend of mine, she got really upset, and it's like, what do you mean there's no shared culture? Because I said America doesn't have a shared culture. Like, what do you mean there's no shared? What do you mean there's no common culture? Well, what about the life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness? Like, yeah, exactly, the pursuit. That you sign up for to be. It's like running with the bulls. Yeah, anyone can run with the bulls. That's great. Have the freedom to run with the bulls. I'm like, first of all, it's not running with the bulls. You're running from the bulls. Let's just make it clear. And in America, it's kind of like the same. There's a very nice layer that's of candy that surrounds what's going on, but the inside is really hard. It's really, really hard. It's not like uh, you can't come to America and just like kind of hang out. If you're in New York, you have to be either very poor and live on food stamps, or be very rich, like work really hard, not see your family, not da 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 da, to have enough money to afford to be here. The country is designed to help you pursue something. Pursue, meaning you have to be constantly like running. And what if I don't want to pursue it? What if I want to just build a community, raise a family? Do I still have to do the pursuit? Yeah, pursuit is part of it. It's life, liberty, and the pursuit. So I think that's what's the issue is. It's what how do we redefine the pursuit of happiness? That's at the heart of the whole thing. Because
Okay,
life, yeah, it's clear life.
let's check in with the world here, because maybe we can even make this. We're talking about America, but I think that what we're talking about is even bigger. Um, So we have friends from Washington, Columbia, Denmark, Pennsylvania, New York, Pakistan, Switzerland, Egypt, Israel, Ohio, California, Puerto Rico, Canada, Toronto, Portland, Florida, Portland, one of the burning cities, Florida, British Columbia, London, Minnesota, Kenya, Arizona, Los Angeles, Ghana, Florida. I think there was more somewhere. So everyone,
If
thank
we
you very
missed
much for
you,
being with.
if we missed you,
What?
let us. I'm
Yeah,
saying to
let us
every,
know.
let us know in the comments. Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's amazing to be with you. This is the Great Transition Show. We have our amazing friend Lio Spiegler with us. We are looking at the world through the lens of the wisdom of Kabbalah. Uh, we are getting ready for big changes that are coming in the next few months. Big changes, whether with the virus or with um, hunger, or all different kind of things that are kind of coming down the pike, that we want to prepare everyone for. Not prepare just to like buy a 50-pound bag of rice, but prepare ourselves. I had a song once. You had a big house with 4 locks on your door. If we're out of starving, you're gonna need some more. It's like it doesn't matter how many locks you put on your door, how many 50-pound bags of rice you put in your basement or in your closet, in your pantry. If people are starving, you're going to need more security and more bags, because they're going to come get it. Not more, like, it's not enough. That's not enough. We have to build a world where everyone has what they need, and there's plenty. It's our attitude. That's when you talked about putting your son in a place where he, what kind of environment. That's what we're looking to build here in this international space, is some kind of environment, some emotional and psychological, mental environment for us um, to nurture ourselves and understand how we can protect ourselves, be happy, uh, and fulfilled, create a life, a meaningful, good life, which is where nature is pushing us, whether we um, want it or not. That's what's going to happen. It's either going like this. We have no free choice. Okay, everybody from all over the world who are joining us, we don't have any. The only free choice we have is our goal is predetermined. The choice is, do we accept it? Do we go along with it and accept it through our efforts, or do we end up there by being kicked from behind? Leo, everything okay there? Is somebody coming to get you? You look like you're.
Yeah, I was looking. No, I was looking for the traffic warden. I'm good.
Okay. All right. I wonder. At first, I was called a sexist at the beginning of the show. I wonder what they're going to say about me now that I said that we have no free choice. So.
That it's like Easy Rider, isn't it? When they said, what happens if you tell people they have no free choice? They'll take a gun and prove you that they do. It's like, I'm paraphrasing badly, but
I think it seems like we were talking about New York here, but I'm hearing this conversation again from a bigger context. There's no doubt that there is something that America represents, that New York, as the Big Apple in America, represents, and that is the Western way of life that has pretty much took over the world in the last 50 years or something like that. So clearly, we're talking right now, what we're seeing happening in New York and what you're describing from your personal story is part of the bigger story. And this is that this way of life that has took over the world in the last 50 or 60 years ago, um, is changing. It's reached a certain kind of end. And I think that what is now happening, part of your personal story, and what a lot of people that are now leaving New York are recognizing, and those that are not leaving, it doesn't matter. A lot of people are recognizing day by day, right now, this is happening, really, from, we're living it as it happens. The world is discovering bit by bit that there is no going back, that the way we lived in the last 50 years or so is over. And I think that that I don't want to sound ominous here, but the more we move forward into the future, we're going to
So
discover,
don't.
um, you know, it's just something you say when you know that you are. So, you know, what can you do? So there's nothing that's going to be left from the old way of life. It's not nothing. None of it is going to remain. But we shouldn't try to fight it. We shouldn't try to, uh, you know, be so overwhelmed by it. We need to become partners with the process. The natural system that we're part of is working on us. It's changing us. It's reformatting and reorganizing human society across the planet, reorganizing the connections between us. You know, it also it doesn't make sense in so many ways that people need to, you know, bunch up like and even in that respect, you know, just like if you think about these like metropolitans, you know, these cities like New York, San Francisco, Tel Aviv, you know, you have this situation where so many people are bunched up together and are trying to like somehow
What's so great
be,
with like good unemployment levels if it means that everybody is like totally stressed out, full of anxiety, working all day, has no time to be with their family, has no time to enjoy their life? Why is that good? Why is that
yeah,
way of life good?
exactly. We created
Because the
something.
economy
Yeah,
is moving. Come on, Seth.
right. The wheels. You gotta keep moving the wheels of the economy, the wheels of consumption. Um, but yeah, this is what's happening. This what has been created in those big cities of the world is an attempt to maximize everything we possibly can from this idea of every man is out there for himself and we can all somehow make it. No, we don't. No, we won't. No, we aren't. That's not the reality. The reality is inequality is only growing, depression is growing, stress is growing, and even COVID can catch us and infect us all when we're bunched together in you know in these spaces, you know, and when everyone barely has room to breathe wherever they live if they can even pay their rent. You know, it's such a we've created like such a roller coaster where the few people at the top of this pyramid kind of way of life that we've created are they still kind of give the illusion that everyone can be, you know, at the top, everyone can make it, everyone can do it, you can have it all. But you know, it just keeps going and going to the point where most people don't have it, to the point that, you know, it's just it doesn't make any sense anymore. And I think that's what we're gradually now discovering, and COVID is helping the process of realization happen.
Let's ask
So,
a question. Oh, you got something there, Leo? Because I got a question for you.
Oh no, ask a question. No, I was.
Let's get into some let's have a Kabbalah moment. Lisa Schuler on YouTube said, "Don't you don't feel that every moment we have?" So I think this is about my free choice comment. You don't feel that every moment we have choice in our thoughts and in our consciousness and in our actions, and all of these come together to assist us in creating this 3D reality.
Does Lisa have choice of her thoughts?
Yeah, she's saying, don't you think we have free choice in our thoughts and in our
I'm
actions?
asking Lisa. I'm asking Lisa back. Do you have
I
control over your
I
thoughts?
think she thinks she does. I think that's the idea. That's why she's asking the question. What do you mean you that I don't have free choice?
I don't know. I get different thoughts in my head all the time. In fact, that's how I make a living. People give me problems to solve, and then I just kind of I create the conditions for an answer, and the answer comes. I don't come up with the answer 90% of the time. I have news for Lisa also. Look at all the great inventors of all time. We attribute a lot of good, solid, uh, right brain power to their inventions, but most of them will tell you that they were thinking one thing, and then the idea came to them from the side. Isaac Newton, re- dreamt up his whole theory, and then he had to spend like a year to put it down into writing, and there's work to do. But those thoughts are not ours in the first place. We live in an information field. But that's just a small example. I mean, I like to give a good exercise sometimes to students and say, if you think you're not, you're in control, fine. Try to try to stay in bed all day. Not do anything. See if reality lets you stay in bed. See if you can do it. It's very difficult, very very difficult. You're under so many forces and influences of your body, of your thoughts, of your feelings, of other people's thoughts and feelings, of the media, of your landlord, your boss. I mean, we were like locked in. The real question is, where is our free choice? I think that is the question, not that we have some. And by the way, I think you guys will agree with me that oftentimes we confuse free choice with just not enough information, so I'm forced to make a decision. So I'm going to go with X. But if I knew that Y was better for me than X, now I would choose Y every time. So I think we have an illusion of free choice, and that's important. But the real free choice is only in our attitude. How do you feel about that? You can choose to like it. You could choose to dislike it. That's
I'm
choice,
choosing to withhold my opinion. Samuel Lima is asking me if we are going. I always add like a personality, even though I don't know most of these people personally. I always add a personality to how they ask. So I think Samuel Lima is saying, will the speakers answer our questions on this program? I think that's what he's asking.
Answer his question.
Okay, but I was trying to keep with the flow of the show, but he had a question earlier about, where was it? I mean, there's a lot of varied questions, everyone. So, Stacia said she doesn't think I'm a sexist. Okay, that's good. Where was Sam? Where was Samuel's other question? Samuel's asking about. Oh, here it is. What role does? Okay, we're going everywhere. So everyone, hang on to your seats because we're going for a ride. What role does the USA? So through the lens of the wisdom of Kabbalah, my friends, what role does the USA, China, and Russia play in the bigger picture in globalism?
All right. You want to take that, Leo?
As a Chinese or as a Russian? I think I can say only as an American, just because I was mostly influenced by America. I think America did a very, very good job at influencing the thoughts, dreams, and aspirations of millions of people around the world. I wrote about it also in the post. Really did an amazing job exporting all sorts of ideas about love and life and success and happiness. So many people around the world judge their well-being according to standards that were propagated by American media. So I think, if nothing else, it has the responsibility to fix that. And I would argue that it's more than a responsibility. I think it's going to become like like an inevitability, because nature is pressuring America, and then if America will rise up to the occasion, as it must.
Is it possible? Do you think that's possible that America can rise up to the occasion?
Look, they put a man on the moon. Come on. You know how much effort it takes to send one person out of this freaking rock into space? Billions of dollars and people and science. I mean, think of all the disciplines that went into that. Just into that take one human, put him outside of this planet. So I think this country has a lot of grit and ingenuity, and also the ability to kind of follow through, push forward. I think it can use it just differently. The whole point is how you use it. There's a big healthy ego here, and we need the ego. We're not destroying the ego. We're not suppressing it. We're simply reappropriating. We love recycling, reappropriating, salvaged furniture, right? We have that. So now we have to salvage and reappropriate the American ego and use it to bring a whole new standard of life to the world.
All right, Leo spoke about the U.S., so I'll be the Chinese, I guess.
Yeah, China.
No, I think. Look, honestly, this is actually a very interesting question. We could spend like a whole episode to talk about it, but we don't have that time. So I'll just say very briefly that while everything that that Leo was talking about has happened in the U.S. was really the embodiment of the power of the individual. The U.S. represents the heightened individualism, the ability to create the conditions for the individual to flourish, right? On the other hand, on the other side of the world, and let's just say Russia, China, of course, there's many huge differences between the two. But in that other side of the world, there is like the opposite trend in a sense, to be very, very, oversimplifying it and overgeneralizing it. But there is the other trend where the collectivism and the collective mentality and creating the conditions for the collective to be strong and solid and flourish is the other conflicting trend. And these two trends that are, that the world has seen.
China on one side and the US on the other side.
Yeah, or China and Russia on the
China,
one
Russia,
side,
yeah.
and East and West even, but it for sure it's definitely demonstrated as, best probably with US and Russia and China. And there's an obvious reason why there is a tension between these countries too, because we're talking about an ideological, natural kind of tension that exists also within each and every human being. There is a tension, constant tension that exists between the individual and society, the individual freedom and the collective cohesion, the collective benefit and the individual benefit. And that is the constant tension that that drives humanity forward. We're always looking for new configurations to solve that
I wonder
tension.
if we could probably even bring the whole male female thing as well, like to go out
It
and
is
then to come back
definitely it is
home,
definitely
go out and
related.
hunt.
Of course, it's definitely related. At the end of the day, you have two forces driving the whole of creation, and they appear from in everything from our anatomy to our physiological processes to zoology, astrology, astronomy, whatever you want.
Nations
Yeah,
and
everything.
nations.
And
But
nations.
just,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Everything. So
but just,
yeah, go ahead.
no, just to say that for anyone listening, that both of these expressions right now are corrupted. The extreme individualism, capitalism in America is driven by egoism, and the extreme socialism driven in China and Russia is driven by egoism.
Exactly.
So they're both distorted versions of what we're saying is actually something that has to come together. The individual and the collective have to live in harmony, driven by this altruism, let's call it.
And what we're seeing right now, where Lio is leaving New York behind and looking at this empire now kind of declining and, dare I say, even collapsing. And, we are seeing these two trends gradually coming to the point where they will have to find a way where they balance each other, where they merge with each other and create something completely new. It's not going to be the same kind of capitalist world or communist world or socialist world or individualist kind of ideology. It's not going to be any of those. It's going to be a new kind of balance, what we call in Kabbalah the middle line, where we gain a new ability to not resist our ego or try to cancel our ego or delete the individual, delete the self, realize the self, completely utilize our individual capacities, but for the benefit of the whole freaking planet. And we're not going to be able to do that unless we begin to rise in our level of consciousness, to include the whole of humanity as part of ourselves, to include ourselves as part of nature. That's the big process that is happening right now, and that's the great transition.
One final question before we go. Lio, this one's for you. Brian Bartels on YouTube wants to know, is Kabbalah open to a sinful Gentile like me?
It's open to all sinful humans because we're all starting from the same broken starting point. We're all egoists, and now we're trying to correct that. So that's probably the best news there are. Everyone, wherever you are, you can start the correction of the world right now, and Kabbalah really speaks about that the correction of how we use our ego. Use it in order to bestow, in order to connect, in order to bring more harmony, more balance. Everybody is invited to do it. And the bigger the sinner you are, the bigger your role you can play in that.
Thank God for that.
Yeah.
All right.
Praise the Lord.
3 p.m., everybody. That was another hour from the Great Transition. Thank you,
Not long enough.
everyone, for being with us. Leo, thank you for doing this. What is probably your last live show from New York City, and um,
Oh, I see your wife in the.
yes,
Yeah,
she could. She was trying to hide, but it didn't really work. We will see you all next time, which is Sunday 2 p.m. Eastern. Now we have a special song for you, as promised. Seth and I were humming something in the middle of the show, and Seth found it, and he'll play it for us now. Right?
Thanks,
Did you
everyone.
find it?
Take care.
Yeah,
Yep.
we got it. Take care, everybody. Love you.
What am I living for? Did I ask for all this pain? Was I born to be a dog? Are there any rules to this game? Suffering, another crushing blow. At first it seemed like I was close, now it seems a million miles to go. It's a story about one man in a master plan. Oh, you know it's a room, seeking out my friends with the same goal. Reunite the pieces of the same soul, so one big soul. Advertisement, keep me on the line again. What is true? I wanna sense a big light beyond motion, space, and time. I wanna cut the key just right. I fought and I cried. My well is running dry. My life is on the line. If I had what to give and I knew who to give it to, I would change my ways if I only knew. It's a story about one man in a master plan. Oh, you know it's a room, seeking out my friends with the same goal. Reunite the pieces of the same soul, so one big soul. On the line again, what is true? I wanna sense a big light beyond motion, space, and time. I wanna cut the key just right.